Hey, y'all, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, this is Joe and Jay Outspoken. Remember to follow all of our platforms, and you can find them by going to Linktree/Joe and Jay Outspoken. Today's show is for Tuesday, October 3rd. I'm Jay, and today Joe and I will be discussing how today's society is promoting the false marginalization of groups and individuals. So, Joe, you ready for our most offensive to some episode yet?
Man, I am more than ready. Let's start marginalizing.
Now, where is that "you looked at me, so now I'm offended" social anxiety sticker? All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys for joining us today. Thank you to everybody that's been joining us throughout the weeks. If this is your first time to the channel, you can check out all of our episodes that we have, and kind of go from there. So, all right, Joe, what the heck are we gonna do?
So first off,
show?
I want to just throw a disclaimer out there that, this is a topic that's very the topic itself is very sensitive to people. So
Right.
I want to make sure that everyone understands that we're not out to offend anyone. We're just trying to show our point of view,
Right.
as far as what we think the ridiculousness is of this marginalization in society today, especially here in America, right? Because America, we're known to be tough, right? Thick-skinned and whatnot, and we clearly are not that anymore. So I think first off, I think it's important, Jay, that we discuss, or at least that we announce, what is marginalization. What's it mean to be marginalized?
Well, it is. It's a term basically talking about folks that are excluded from the mainstream social, economic, educational, I guess, cultural life, and communities. That's one of the big things. It's not so much the individual; it's groups, right, of individuals that are marginalized.
Mm-hmm.
So, due to whatever you want to come with race, gender identity, sexual orientation, physical ability, your language, barrier, age, all these.
So they're treated, basically what it is they're treated as insignificant, right? Peripheral, right? Like they're
right.
and here's the thing. I there's so many groups out there right now or marginalized. Can you see my air quotes? Marginalized groups or communities or whatever you want to call it. I mean, you hit a few, and that's just the tip, right? Of
That's what I could think of. I mean, there's so many,
which is funny because like within the LGBT community, they're marginalized within there also now. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's so confusing. Just like the gender thing, it's just like whacked out. Like I don't know where to look. So the thing is, when I feel like if you're talking about being marginalized, you have to have some kind of evidence. It can't be just because someone hurt your feelings that the entire group is now targeted. And when you say the entire group, who are you talking about? You know, if someone goes down the street and says something to me, like, am I being marginalized because I'm a short guy, or because I'm Mexican, or because I have a goatee, or I like Trump? Like you could be marginalized for anything, and I think that's the ridiculousness of it. Just the other day, I think I told you about it. So there was this activist, Zina Bryant. She's a BLM activist. Well, that first of all, there's another marginalized group, right?
Yeah, those mansions really have them marginalized.
Oh my God. So if you recall, she was I think back then she was a teenager. She's the one that drafted a petition to remove the statue of General Lee.
Wow.
Okay. So what? Okay. You know what? The thing is, that's our history. Don't remember. It's like, imagine like hey man, those Aztec guys removed the heart out of people. Let's remove those pyramids,
Yeah,
because they're
let's just
offensive. I
yeah.
mean, like,
It's
come on. Let's
man, you remember we had, I don't remember what episode it was. Um it was a while back, and we talked about this. People would say that, like, the whole Nazi thing, because that term, I get sick of it because it gets thrown around so much now.
yeah,
That
by
Nazi time,
socialists.
they were right. Everybody's a socialist. Everybody's a fascist. Everybody's a Nazi.
Oh,
So, everybody can agree that the period of Nazism was terrible. I mean,
right.
things that were going on and everything. So if somebody was to say, well, we shouldn't have anything Nazi, well, go to the Smithsonian Institute, and it is full of Nazi paraphernalia. The reason is not to glorify it, but to have it there as an example to show this is stuff we don't want to repeat. And all of these statues and everything that have been, they've been torn down. We're not a third world country. We should, have them taken down properly, crate them up, and take them to the Smithsonian. If people vote on that and that's what they want to do, I I don't care one way or the other. I think it's kind of stupid to take things down there and inanimate objects, and they're like, well, that vision, just like you were talking earlier, that vision of that statue offends me. That statue does nothing for me. I don't care what you put up, something anti-white, this or that statue. That statue doesn't offend me. The actions behind it would be what would offend me. If you're burning down entire cities to stand behind piece of artwork that was drawn up for
Yeah.
somebody that, right, and you're burning buildings afterwards based upon that would offend me, right? Not the actual artwork. I don't really care about that. So
They still have his
these
house up over in Washington D.C. or in Arlington. His house is still there. People go watch,
yeah,
go visit it every year, every day. I think it's more of a personal thing if people get offended about it. But anyway, going back to Zaina Bryant, the one that did that petition, she also wrongfully accused another student. I can't Morgan Bettinger, I think it is. She accused her of something, and it just ruined her. She said she made a racial comment, but then later, this BLM activist said, "Oh, I misheard her." Right, but at that point, she was already crucified by the school, right, and then kicked her out. I don't know what they did, but she
right.
completely ruined her life. Anyway, this BLM activist Bryant, she is now a representative of Dove soap. Okay, so look, if they're looking at her because she's a young activist, okay, I get it, but that's not why. You want to know why? She's she is the spokesperson for Dove.
um I'm I'm gonna guess because of something that has to do with the scale.
Bro, she's a fat liberator. That's what she's called, fat liberator. Her job is for fat liberation.
Uh,
That's ridiculous. All right, I'm just tell you right now. Look, guys, if you're fat, you're fat, right?
right.
We're not skinny. We're not on this. We're not on the
No,
skinny side
man.
of the scope.
I
But
don't push away many plates of food,
no one does. But here's the thing:
Taco Tuesday every day.
they're every day. But here's the thing: it's a choice you make, right? People say, "Well, I
Right.
was born this way." A lot of people are born a certain way, but it's what we do to change that, right? It's our actions that contribute to that. Either
Right.
increase it, or you could. I know a lot of people that were huge who've lost a lot of weight. There's a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
them, So I was born this way, or it's in my genes. I mean, there's so many things in genes. I'm sure like some of these serial killers had kids and offsprings. I'm sure in their genes there's homicidal tendencies, but they don't go out and do it, right?
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
it's an excuse. But to call now being overweight or obese being marginalized, it doesn't make sense to me. How are you? I don't see society looking at them as insignificant. You know, I really don't. Do you remember back in the day when you would see commercials about being fat? Like, don't do it. You're gonna die. You're shaving years off your life. And
Right.
remember those the
Yeah.
doctors? It was a surgeon general, the same white guy with the old beard that
Right.
tell us about the cigarette smoking was the same guy telling us get out there and
Yeah.
exercise. Don't be fat. You're gonna be obese and blah blah blah. In
Right.
fact, with that, you know how the whole thing, the weight the fat percentage was changed a few years ago. Well, under the new one, I'm obese according to them because of my height and my weight are a little just. Look, guys, I'm obese. I'm not gonna stop. So I'm still gonna eat. I'm still gonna drink. Anyway, the the point behind that is that how can you just simply say, hey, look, you know what? I'm lazy. I'm gonna keep eating horrible food, processed food, all these fatty things, and then I'm just gonna say I'm marginalized. You know, instead of
Right.
saying, you know what, I don't want to live this way. I want to add. I want to be around for my kids. I want to be around for my family. I don't
Yeah.
want to. I don't want to be like my 1,000-pound sister. You know, I don't want to do that. I don't want to live that life where you have to get craned out of
I've seen your sister. She is not 1,000 pounds, bro.
No, it's a show, bro. Have you seen that
Oh,
show?
okay.
A
No.
thousand pounds. No, my sister's like maybe 100 pounds, 110.
Yeah.
I don't know where I got my weight from, but whatever.
I'm
If you were
telling
to,
you, it's
if
Taco
you were,
Tuesday every day.
if you were to stretch me to the height of my siblings, I'd be skinny. So
You're like, I don't know where my weight comes from, and every time we get together, it's like carne asada fest, man.
Okay, you're divulging too much. Okay,
Yeah.
that's our private life. Okay, but anyway, like, where do you get off of saying like we're marginalized? No, that's
silly.
ridiculous, bro. But
Yeah.
anyway, there's so many groups. Felons, right? That's a marginalized group. So why are they marginalized? Why are they being? Why are they
Wow.
being? Why are they being considered insignificant? Well, you know what? America, the government thinks that, or universities, I should say, think that they're marginalized because of voting rights. You lost that right. You became a felon. So you can't be marginalized because you're a felon. They want you to vote, right? So they're calling it a marginalized group because you lost your sex offenders, right? How many times have the LGBT community, the new one, not the old one, been trying to normalize sex offenders, pedophilia, right?
Yeah.
Now they're calling that a marginalized group, right? You can't do that. People who are living in poverty. Now, the term itself, marginalized, it doesn't fit because I maybe as an individual I could see it, but like do you look at someone who's at what's considered poverty? Do you look down on them, Jay? Do you like, oh God, you don't touch me? You know what I mean? I don't see that happening.
No, and one of the things that I think that it's creating is a reverse effect. So now you have people assuming someone got where they are only because they checked a diversity box, right? So, you have 4 people of the same qualifications, all of different color, all of different background, different religion, different sex, whatever. Because now we have multiple, genders. So 4 different genders.
We have 2 genders.
And who correct. I'm playing along for a second.
I know,
and so who gets that job? Well, it's the person that, nowadays with HR departments, how they are, it's going to be the person that checks the most diversity boxes because it makes them look like, that they're a diversity hiring company. And the sad part about that is diversity in that sense should be the people that are the most qualified and the smartest for the job, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, we've had episodes that we've went over things similar to this, like what they've been doing in the colleges and such, and making it tougher for like Asian students, for example, to get in because there's too many Asians and they're too smart and all this. And it's like, well, isn't that what you want? I mean, most of the doctors in this country are from India, right?
Yeah,
and
you're not wrong.
Well, you know what? Let's say I'm not, guys, please don't like take this clip out of context, but let's say I'm the most racist guy in the world and I need heart surgery or some major surgery, and the best surgeons are all Indian guys, right? And I say, I don't want any of them. I want the white guy, and the best white guy is not that great. That would be very foolish of me. So it's the same thing with everything else. All of this stuff becomes ridiculous because we're picking people and we're, so again, with your question, this is getting reversed too, because
Yeah.
we're putting people into positions, right? Because we say they're being marginalized, so let's put them into a position or what have you, to make it more fair. Yet it's not more fair, because the people that, so all these kids that are getting student loans, that, you know, they're getting kicked to the side because somebody else that doesn't have as much of an education or what have you is going to get picked for a position,
All right.
just because they check off a box, right? And we need the best people in the positions. That's all I got to say about it. So,
Right.
I mean,
No, I
because some of
agree.
the things is like, you know, the marginalization is denying professional opportunities, not providing equal access and resources and such. Bullying has become a huge hot topic, and I don't disagree that bullying doesn't happen on the internet and stuff like that. But here's the crazy thing with like the internet bullying and everything, and uh, we started off on chunky people, so when when we were in school, if we were chunky and we're running around, you can't run as fast as the skinny kids or whatever. You're at school and they poke fun at you,
Yeah.
right? Like they're in your face. Well, nowadays kids aren't being made fun of in person so much. It's online and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and it's like, I just don't understand that. Why? Like, I would just block them, turn my phone off or whatever, it kind of stops it. It's hard to walk away from somebody on the school grounds, right? Where it's pretty easy to just turn your phone off, or your iPad, or whatever your social media you're on. So,
Social media platforms have empowered a lot of people, especially people that are cowards. You know what I
oh
mean?
yeah, keyboard
That's
warriors, man.
yeah, man. It's
Yeah,
funny, but
I'm
you're
a
right.
keyboard tough guy.
But like even gifted and talented people are considered marginalized. I'm like
Hmm.
that. Do you, am I the only one here thinking that you guys don't understand the definition of being marginalized? I mean,
Right?
what I don't understand what's going on here. Maybe jealous. I'd be jealous. Like if someone's like really smart. I'm like, damn it, I wish I was
Yeah.
smart. You know what I mean? But
Right.
to think that they're marginalized, I'm like that. First off, I don't think anyone thinks that someone that's fat or someone that's gifted or talented or living in poverty or homeless are insignificant. I know that now. Is there people like you've mentioned bullies? Is there people that target those type? Yeah, they're cowards, right? Those are people that are
Right.
are bullies.
Absolutely.
They're cowards,
Yeah.
but that's not everyday society. That's not people. Let me just, for example, one of the biggest, and I say this because that's the group they're in. One of the biggest marginalized or group, the LGBT community. Um, earlier you heard me say the old one, not the new one, or the new one, not the old one, right? Because the old
Right.
LGBT community had standards, believe it or not, right? They believed in
Yeah.
something. They had a goal. They reached their goal and they stopped, right? They didn't
Right.
push on. They didn't press on. They're like, hey, we got what we wanted. That's what it is. Now you got this other group that broke off from they didn't break off. They're still under that umbrella, but the LGBTQRXW XYZ group, um, they've
Yeah.
kind of taken over that group, right? They're and that's the one with the 200 genders or whatever it is. Um, that group has gone like out of control. Like you're not
Right.
marginalized, you're just annoying. It's not that we think you're insignificant. We just think that you're ridiculous and annoying. That's really what it comes down to. And
Right.
that's not being
Yeah.
marginalized, right? Because it's like me, for example. People get annoyed by me, but you know why? Because I'm always shoving my Dallas Cowboys down their throat, right? That's all Cowboys fans do, right? And so people get tired of it, and I get all this hate mail and memes and
Right. But
texts
you
from.
expect it, right?
But I
You expect
expect
it.
it because I'm a shit talker, right? And so I'm
Yeah.
going to
Yeah.
talk about my Cowboys. But I don't feel
Yeah.
like I'm. So should I fit under an umbrella of being marginalized because I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan? You know what? There's probably enough haters I should be. But anyway, I'm
Right.
not going to go down in that umbrella, right? So what's another big one? Racial, cultural divide, right? That's another
Hmm.
marginalized group.
What
Um,
side of the railroad tracks you live on?
Right. So, but here's the thing. I think people are confusing people who are racist or people who are bigots with being marginalized. No one's seen anybody as being insignificant or peripheral in any way. I think people are just ignorant. There's some ignorant people, but to just go under being marginalized, come on, man. I mean, learn the definition of it first before you start, trying to fit that, trying to get under there and be significant or have some kind of significance in society, right? Everybody wants to be popular. Everybody wants that fame on TV, and it's like, hey, this is who we are. And there's actually and I can't remember what it's called, but there's in researching this thing with the fat liberation, guys, and that's what it's called, fat liberation. Don't say I'm not saying that fat to be mean. That's what it's called. It's called fat liberation. There's in looking. Let me look it up, Jay, because this is funny. I'm like,
this is the deal from Dove.
Yes,
Dove soap.
Yeah, but there's a group that it's like almost a it's for the advancement of fat people or something like that. Bro, I can't even look it up because I don't even know what I'm thinking. But look, man, I'm not poking fun of us obese people, right? Because I'm considered obese. But at what point?
Now, so do you feel marginalized?
Dallas Cowboys fan, yes, I do. I feel marginalized as a Dallas Cowboys fan. I really do. But honestly, though, on a serious note, you can't, to create a group that way where you like, hey, the advancement of fat people, that's an insult. To be honest with you, that's an insult to people who work hard, who lose weight, who focus on what they eat, who focus on eating on diets. Yeah. That's an insult to them because they could say, hey, now we're being marginalized because we're trying to live healthy, and they're looking at us like, oh, look at
we
you.
Don't get to eat pizza every day. We don't get we don't get to go through McDonald's drive-thrus every day. We don't get Starbucks every day.
Right. Bro, okay, you've gone too far when you talk about coffee. You've gone way too far. All right.
I said Starbucks. That's not coffee.
We call it something else over here. So anyway, but
you have Tim Hortons over there, don't you?
Yeah, that's that. But I don't go there. You know why? Not because it's a bad place, but because it's from Canada. And not that I don't like Canadians, but I hate Trudeau. I just can't stand Trudeau. And because he's Canadian and he's the prime
Trudeau King Canuck.
Yeah, I can't stand him. So anything that's Canadian, I'm sorry. You Canadian people out there, I love you. I don't like Trudeau. And if you're a real Canadian, they don't like Trudeau either. So
no,
anyway,
that's 100%, man.
Yeah, that's
I think they dislike their what is he, the prime minister?
Prime minister, yeah.
Yeah, they dislike their prime minister more than we dislike our mumbling chief.
Yeah, so, like at this point, I'd rather see the Prime Minister Genghis Khan than Trudeau there. You know what I mean? But anyway, the whole point that I was trying to make was that why are you trying to? And this is a problem with today's society. And I know it's off, but it's still the same subject. That you are trying to normalize all these crazy things, and how you're normalizing them by creating marginalization of groups, right? And that's, you can't do that, man. Our society was so black and white, right? You here's the law, you broke it, done, right? Here's the health here's the health stats, right? Hey, if you are 50 years or older, you shouldn't weigh this much because your cholesterol level is going to go up, right? Stop eating processed food, fatty. Stop eating fast food, right? Stop smoking cigars there, Joe, right? Stop drinking. But the choice that I make is to not stop drinking, not stop smoking my cigars, but I am taking that risk. It is me. I'm not going to say like, oh, I am being marginalized because this doctor said I have to stop. And you know what the sad part is? If I push it and I get enough people to push it, doctors are going to turn around and say, hey guys, look, it's okay. And it's only going to create a group, right, for it. That's the problem with us today here in America, is that we are so ready to marginalize any little thing, right? Like anything. Like I don't know. Name something, Jay. I'm going to start a group. I'm going to start marginalizing. I already started one with the Dallas Cowboys. I'm marginalized as a fan. So I think
Well,
it's ridiculous. That's my opinion, folks. You know.
well, here's one of the things. You know, me, man. I'm a huge first responder
Right.
supporter.
I was going to say
People that are
you're a big restaurant supporter too, but I'm just going to say it.
All right, whatever. Thanks, everybody. Good night. I'm out of here. No, like the military, you know, our police, and of course our folks in medical and everything else. I support them heavily. So, with that being said, we have this huge trust that we say doctors, you know, can never say anything wrong. They can never prescribe anything wrong. So I'll give you two things to that will totally disprove that, and to show that they are just people and they are in a business like everybody else is.
Mm-hmm.
There are groups. I don't even know if I can say the names because Russell Brand just got canned for this whole thing. But big.
Don't worry, I'm not going to disclose about what you did to me.
So the big pharmaceutical companies, they will send in representatives into the hospitals, and who do they go talk to directly? Doctors.
Right? Wow.
Yeah. And who did they send in? Did they send in 50-year-old guys like us?
Oh no, bro. Have you seen some of these reps?
I have seen some of those reps. And they are, and definitely probably not dressed appropriately to go into the hospital and everything, but that's how they go.
Says you. And, bro, do I have to marginalize them too?
Yeah.
Protect big pharma reps. That's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, big pharma reps. They're big pharma reps in the day and Hooters waitresses at night. So, yeah. Okay. So they go in there and they pitch their drug of choice, whatever it is. And guess what? Things that when you go into the doctor's office, guess what they are pitching the most?
What?
It can't be the stuff that they were. So all those free samples, that's what's given to them and everything. And I'm not saying, okay, that doctors don't prescribe things that you need and all this kind of stuff. But listen, I knew somebody that worked in the dental industry and told me straight out multiple times that people were brought in, told they had a cavity and would have teeth filled and or pulled that were not needed. These are businesses. So guys, don't ever think that this isn't, you know, and I know people are on their keyboard warriors again are going to be, you know, upset at the world. So let me tell you something, and this is from, and you can trust in everything on Google, but in the 1800s and early 1900s, doctors often prescribed mercury for syphilis and other venereal diseases. It was an ointment and it was added to vapor baths. It was even used as vaginal or urethral douches. Patients dabbed it on their sores and inhaled it. This is mercury, folks. Wow. This is stuff you're not even supposed to touch with your skin. And doctors were prescribing this. So anytime that we think that, you know, because you were, you know, saying that doctors are now going to say it's okay that you can be fat or you can be this, you can't, whatever, wherever the money's coming from, wherever the, you know, the big police in the sky at the big White House, whatever they're saying, that's what they're going to follow suit with. They are a business just like everything else. So please understand that a lot of this stuff, we know what's right. You know, folks that are overweight know they're overweight. I don't believe in bullying them, and dude, I'm overweight, you know, right? I don't believe in bullying them or anything like that, but you know you're overweight. When you get on a plane, you're going to be more uncomfortable, right? You are, just plain and simple. You know,
I'm uncomfortable, and I'm a compact size Mexican. You know what I mean? And I'm uncomfortable sitting in that middle seat. Could you imagine someone that has larger?
You're like a Hershey fun size.
I am. They call me fun size. I am fun size.
Fun size.
But it's uncomfortable. I'm not gonna lie. Those things, they barely fit like people that have like no hips. Can you imagine someone that has bigger hips? That's ridiculous, bro. And you're right though. I agree with you 100% on that.
Yeah.
But, so let me read something to you. So fat liberation, right? It's funny because
Here we go.
This is going to go good on our next episode we're going to talk about. So anyway, fat liberation is a social justice movement that works against anti-fat bias, oppression, and discrimination. So one, that's ridiculous because that, you know what I mean? But anyway, that group I was telling you about, it's NAAFA, the National Association to Advance Fat Acceptance. That's what
NAFA.
it is. Yeah, NAFA.
Why are the letters so close to being fat?
I didn't even see that.
Nafat.
So this is the problem, though. You have to wake up at one point and say, "Look, man, look, I get it. You know what? But that doesn't happen in society anymore, bro. Again, this is like people saying, "Oh, America's so racist." Yeah, in the 60s, maybe, right? In the 50s, back then, okay, I'll give you that. They were. Yeah, you can't say it wasn't when you have separate water fountains, separate bathrooms, things like that. Clearly it was. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the dark side of our history, but nonetheless, it's
Right.
our history, right? People aren't going around making fun, pointing at fat people like they used to back in the day, right? Because there was some body shaming. No. But here's the thing. When you put models, people that live their life making money by taking care of themselves and you know, being models, right? When you take them, that's not being bullied. That's not saying, "Oh my God, right, we don't accept people who are not that look like that." I have my type of person that I look at, and it's not a model. I'm telling you, because they're I love models, but they're kind of flat, right? They little missing some stuff there, right? But that it's easier to put clothes on them, right? Because they're like little dolls. But now they have all these models. Back, remember when Marky Mark was making commercials for underwear, right?
Oh yeah.
Now they have transgenders out there doing underwear commercials. People are they're heavyweight, you know. It's not that we don't accept people who are a little heavy on the weight size. It's the fact that it's an unhealthy lifestyle. You can't say that's healthy. It's like saying, like, you're putting people out there. It's like putting a commercial out there with a pregnant girl and smoking a cigar, right? That's no different. That is no different than having someone who's big and saying it's okay to be big. Yes, well, it's okay if you have pounds, but it's also okay to shed some of those to live a healthier lifestyle. There's nothing wrong with that. Right. And that only, I think that takes away from those people who were obese or who were fat, who grew up having to deal with that stuff back in the days, worked hard to get to where they're at and shed that weight. But that it creates a healthy lifestyle. Why wouldn't you want a healthy lifestyle?
Right.
You know, people die every day from heart disease, right? Heart attacks, all these things that are high cholesterol, all those are contributing from being having fat, right? And it's not just like looking fat, but eating fatty foods and all kinds of things like that. So we need to stop normalizing things that are bad. You know, people are so quick that someone gets killed and all of a sudden guns are the worst things ever, right? The horrible things that kill people. So do cheeseburgers from McDonald's. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With all the processed stuff that's in them, you know?
Yeah. Straight up, look
no one says anything about that. No one bats an eye about that.
No, the number one killer in the United States is what? That's heart disease. Number one killer. You know, cancer's up there too. And guess what helps to cause cancer quite a bit is sugars. Okay. So sugars are one of the number one things that creates issues in your body that spikes and creates cancers. So, I mean, if you think about it, think about those two things. You know, heart disease is caused from what? We were just talking about it. Eating improper, you know, if you ever get a chance, for those of you that are kind of slightly offended by the episode or you're interested in it, there is a movie that was put out, this has been a while ago, and it was called Super Size Me. And it was a guy that was in really, really good health. And did you ever watch it, Joe?
I saw parts of it, and like he ate like McDonald's burgers like
so he was
every day for a year, something like that.
No, only 30 days.
Oh, 30 days. Wow.
Only 30
Wow.
days. And it's really great. I mean, it's a documentary style, so it's not a really exciting movie. I'll tell you that right now. It's like it's just above watching paint dry, but it's very good in the way it's brought across.
Ridiculous.
Okay, and by the end of it, the doctor tells him straight up, and this is a guy that was in good health.
Mm-hmm.
He gets a physical done prior to starting the whole thing, and he's in great bill of health and everything, and he's going to do it. The one and the reason the movie's called Super Size Me is because back then, right? And this is the push. This is the push that all these companies have had. What we say earlier about doctors making money? McDonald's, what do they want to do? They want to make money. So when you were at the drive-through window and said, "I'll have a number one, which is whatever, a Big Mac, fries, and a Coke," would you like that supersized? No. And if they asked him, he had to say yes, and he had to eat it all. Well, it was like, I don't know. You'll have to watch it. I don't want to spoiler alert everything, but like a week into it, you know, he's like they've supersized every meal. So he's at dinner and he's like eating a burger and he starts like throwing up. He's like, dude, I can't eat all of this. It's so much food and soda. And so he starts to try to get, like, they had just introduced salads, because this is back in the day. They had introduced salads, and he's trying to get like iced tea, and you know, he's trying to like limit his intake of grease and processed garbage, you know. And he goes to a doctor, and then he goes to a nutritionalist, that does everything natural. Mm-hmm. By the end of the deal, she's in this 30-day period or whatever, she's out of business, right? She's closing her shop because nobody's going to her, and she's telling him how to do things right. And this doctor, when he first goes and says, "Hey, this is what I'm going to do," he's like, "Oh, you should be okay. I mean, you may gain a little weight and this and that, but you know, and this nutritionalist girl, she's like, you shouldn't do this at all. This is going to be really horrific for your system, you know." And so who's in business at the end of it is the doctor that gave him the wrong advice, and who's going out of business are the people that are giving the proper nutritional advice to folks. So I mean, it's easy. We look back at school and the progression as things went on. When we were early years in school, it's not like cafeteria food was great or anything, but what did they always give you? They give you milk, and they give you, you know, and of course now everybody has peanut allergies and can't drink. Everybody's lactose this and that, and everybody's, you know, it's crazy. And that didn't exist back then. I never heard of lactose. I never heard of peanut allergies.
I used to love those pizzas, those hoagie pizzas.
Oh, yes, the hoagie pizzas. They were the best. Man. Super 70s. You remember those?
Oh man, I love that burrito. Burritos.
By the time we got to high school, what was everywhere? Cans of Coke. Yeah. You know,
we had Coke machines. Garbage. We had the vending machines.
We had vending machines, and now
and we had open.
That's
camps,
all.
And we had a smoking section. So, but
senior quad.
Yeah. So let's get away from talking about overweight people, because I don't want this to be a thing about you guys. It's not about you guys. It's not. But here's the one thing:
you guys, we're in that group, so we're marginalized too, buddy.
Look, I can't have two marginalized groups I'm in, bro. I am already in the Dallas Cowboys one. I can't be going into that one too. All right. But here's the thing: in all seriousness, it's not about you guys, and it's not about. It's your life. You live it how you want. We're not trying to insult anybody, but what we are saying is that these things do not fit under the category of being marginalized at all.
No, not at all.
And again, these are just our opinions. This is not reality to some people, but there is a lot of groups out there that are saying they're marginalized that are not. So one of the biggest one, like we talked about earlier, is the racial and cultural differences, right? Are minorities, right? And like my point that I was trying to say was,
you're in another one. There you go.
That's number three, bro. I'm in 3 marginalized groups. I'm going to have a group for people who are marginalized in more than 3 groups. So So that's like marginalized.
So does the 1/64th of my Native American ancestry, does that count too?
Bro, you know who you're starting to sound like now? Who's that senator? That girl that says she's
Pocahontas?
Yeah. What's her name?
Oh, gosh, Elizabeth Warren.
Elizabeth Warren, bro. You started to sound like Elizabeth Warren, the one that voted for 700 miles of the wall. That now the liberals are going crazy, right? But anyway, no, bro. But that's the thing, Jay. Like, Now, if you want to be in a help group like Gamblers Anonymous and things like that, all right,
Yeah.
do that. But don't call yourself marginalized. These, like, you look at these groups, Jay, and the majority of them are selective. You have options. Felons, you have an option not to be one, right?
Right.
So,
I didn't have an option not to break into that car, do those
right.
drugs.
Sex offenders, you had an option, right? Not to be a sex offender. Gamblers and substance abuse. Look, man, you're not being marginalized because you're in that group, but you're stop doing drugs. You know what I mean? It's just, I know it sounds simpler to it. I'm sorry that I can't really comprehend that because I do not have an addictive personality, and so it's hard for people to kind of understand addiction if you're not in it. So so no harm. I don't want to offend anyone by saying that, but these are things
Too
that
late.
yeah, I know, probably. Like, senior citizens are also considered marginalized. I'm like, the only time I marginalize them is when I lived in Arizona and it was winter and they're driving. You know
All
that.
the snowbirds.
Oh,
Yeah.
the snowbirds, bro. Those are the only times I was marginalizing them.
Get out of the left lane.
Turn that blinker off. You've been turning for the past 20 miles. Off. Damn it. But I think as a whole, guys, and again, I apologize if I offended anyone or if Jay offended anyone. That's not the point here.
Definitely not our intention.
The point is that we have to get away from having hurt feelings. We have to get away from feeling that, oh, I'm insignificant to these people, so I'm marginalized. Man, we're not going to be significant to everybody, and that's just life.
Right.
You know, we're not going to be important or matter to everybody, but that's just life, man. It doesn't mean that you have to be, that you're considered marginalized. It doesn't mean that you fit in some kind of weird group, right? It's just that it is what it is, right? And I think the problem that we run into is that everybody feels they're, in one way or another, they're marginalized. I'm just a great fan, and I think that's what it is. I don't feel I'm marginalized because I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. I think I'm a great fan. It's America's team, and clearly nobody else is. You know what I mean? Our cheerleaders are all still female, and I'm happy with that. We don't have
Dang it, Panthers! Just like
yeah, it's going up to you, Panthers, with your first transgender cheerleader. Good job.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Well, let's just see where the season goes with that. Hopefully, it helps you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I would try to ignore the cheerleaders at that point. I think so. You know, one of the things that I would say about so at this point, everybody, by our little conversation here, everybody is marginalized, right? Everybody,
everyone's on
some point or something is marginalized.
Oh.
And if everybody is marginalized, nobody's marginalized. If everybody is racist, nobody's racist. If everybody is sexist, nobody's sexist, right? So the problem with this is that we've created a numbness. There are little storybook things that are like people that stress every day about everything in the world. What's that? What is that? That's Chicken Little. The sky is falling. Oh, everything's terrible. Everything's terrible, right? We were supposed to learn stuff from those parables back in the day. And, you know, the boy who cried wolf, right? That's what marginalization is. We're crying wolf on everybody, on everything, that they are out to get me. They don't like me because of whatever it is. And once you get to a certain point, it doesn't even matter anymore because nobody's going to listen to you because it's just this, you know, wash of nonsense.
Yeah.
And just like you were, when we started off the conversation about all the genders. So, you know, I would have, so, you know, me, we've talked about conspiracy theories and things for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that gets me into conspiracy theories is not so much the belief on all of them. It is the research and, you know, everything that they've done to figure out and tell you, hey, this is the reason that
it's
we
another
believe in
marginalized
this
group right there.
Yeah, it's flat earthers, man. You guys are marginalized.
Those guys,
the wazoo.
Those guys.
So yeah. So if you wanted to really say, hey, there are multiple genders, right? And I don't believe in this whole thing. There's 2 genders. That's all there is. But if you're going to do that and you're going to get people like me and Joe and anybody else to stand behind you, you need to come up with bylaws or whatever you want to say to it and say, listen, there are 14 and a half genders and this is what they are. This is why they are. And
what's the 0.5 gender?
Well,
is that for short people like me? Is that that 0.5 gender?
I don't want to offend anybody any more than I already have. So.
That's, the 0.5 is for those under 4 foot tall and identify as opportunist. All right.
Oh, there you go. Opportunist 0.5.
You guys are
yeah,
ridiculous.
but the reason people have such an issue with so many of these things is because it is so just there's nothing substantial behind it, right? And it's just all feelings. That's all it is. Feelings and stuff you make up.
Dude. Okay, so when you just said that, reminded me of something. So you need to find this clip because this is going to explain so much things about people and their feelings and feeling marginalized and everybody in groups. There's this clip out there where there's a bunch of marginalized group, I guess, in a convention or something, and there's this poor spokesperson sitting on. You got to put that clip on here because I
know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's the Democratic Socialist of America or something.
Bro, that's what happens when you put a bunch of marginalized groups into one room.
Yeah, DSA, I think. Yeah, point of privilege. You know what? We'll put that on the end, maybe the end here or in our next episode. So we'll figure out how long that is. But
I think that's just an episode in itself.
Yeah, right. No kidding.
Quick point of privilege. Quick point of personal privilege. Yes. Guys, first of all, James Jackson, Sacramento, he, him. I just want to say, can we please keep the chatter to a minimum? I'm one of the people who's very, very prone to sensory overload. There's a lot of whispering and chatter going on. It's making it very difficult for me to focus. Please, can we just, I know we're all fresh and ready to go, but can we please just keep the chatter to a minimum? It's affecting my ability to focus. Thank you.
Thank you, comrade. Okay, is there a speaker against name, chapter, pronoun?
Point of personal privilege.
Yes.
Please do not use gendered language to address everyone.
Oh my God.
Well, listen, everybody, thanks so much for hanging out with us today. I'm Jay, and that's Joe, and this has been Joe and Jay Outspoken. If you had fun or learned anything, do us a favor, like, subscribe, comment, and share. If there's a topic you would like to see us cover in the future, let us know at joeandjayproductions.com/ideas. If you would like to help the cause, it can be as small as liking, subscribing, and commenting. You can also grab merch from the Outspoken store or become one of our Patreon members. Thanks again, everyone, for tuning in. Take care of one another.
And remember, do better, be better.
And as always, God bless America.